Today I'm joined by Chaz from MegaBlox Guild, and she's a security expert. She's going to be talking to you about how to protect yourself online, the common mistakes, the do's and the don'ts, the pros, the cons, that sort of thing. Chaz, how are you doing today?
Well, good. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing great. So, can you tell us about the common misconceptions or common mistakes that people make with security, passwords, that type of thing online?
If you are setting up an online account and you are thinking of what password to use, first and foremost, you want to swap out the default if there is one in place for something that's unique to you. But also, you want to make sure that your password is longer than your standard, 6 or 8 characters. You want to make sure that's a longer password that is harder to guess in the event of some sort of exposure. Um, So you want to make sure it's long password. You want to make sure that it is alphanumeric, a combination of letters and numbers. Um, Sometimes it's hard to recall what the password is, especially if you're multitasking and doing various and sundry things online. So the use of a password manager can be ideal because a password manager allows you to keep your password stored in a vault that's encrypted and locked. And it doesn't require you to remember your passwords in many cases, which is helpful when you are trying to log in and you've tried it one too many times and you've blocked yourself out of the account because of too many failed attempts. Uh, so password manager is good in that regard. So password configuration and setup is one of the biggest misconceptions that I see a lot of people have because they just think that, you know, I don't really have to think too much about it. Let me just throw something in. You don't want to include personal information like a family name or your kid's
Mm.
name or a birth date or anything like that.
I know banks, those kind of emails that supposedly come from banks, those phishing emails. Banks, from what I understand, will never email you anything to say, "Hey, your account's been compromised," or "Give us your password," or that type of thing. This did you find that a lot of people in general, not just business owners, but new, just regular citizens, fall for these kind of things? And is there any way to recover from that?
And usually it happens when you are distracted. Being more vigilant and more diligent is key, particularly in the back part of the year when people are traveling and doing more shopping and more information is just being proliferated online.
Okay, this everyone recognizes this is the key fob to my car. Okay, now these give off a wireless signal, of course, in order for you to, you can lock your car and unlock it from a far distance. What happened to me, not happened to me, but I witnessed something happening, almost witnessed. I went into a gas station kiosk, and there was this gentleman inside. He was very distraught. He was pacing back and forth. What happened was, as he was walking into the station kiosk, somebody had passed by him with a device, maybe in their pocket or in their hand, and it scanned his car key fob, got the signal. They were able to use that signal on their device and just access his car, go in, start it up, and drive away. He actually saw them driving away. And right after I heard that, I got this little, I won't even say device, it's a very simple piece of technology. It's just a little pouch, but inside has some protective material. I'm not sure if the camera can actually pick that up. It's some kind of a gray reflective material, but what it does, it you put your key fob inside of it, or you can even put your credit cards and that type of thing inside the pouch. Now it's protects your key fob. I don't know if it's 100%, but it protects it to some degree. What's your opinion on them? Do you think they're worth the money? Do you think everyone should have something like this?
I think they are. Um, and if you are going to get something like that, which is I think it's called an RFID locker, you can get these in wallet form or in a card
Mm,
holder form. You definitely want to go with the more expensive variety. So if
yeah.
you get one, you want to take a look at it. You want one that's high quality and one that has a 360 enclosure, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like,
Yeah.
in the case of the pouch that you have, if it's maybe just a piece on top and on the back, but the sides aren't included in that coverage, then
Hmm.
it um the potential for exposure is there. So make sure you're getting a good quality one is what I'm saying. But I do
Okay.
think that those are a good investment, particularly if you are out and about, or certainly when you're traveling as well.
I see. Okay. So I did the right thing. I wasn't just paranoid.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay. Now I want to ask you something else. Now I have another set of devices. These are more. I mean, they're also hardware, but I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick these up as well. These are UB keys, I believe they're called. So these are two separate UB keys. One is actually for my client, so I can actually let me just bring a little closer here. One is for my client. I can actually use this to log into some of his accounts, like his YouTube channels or that type of thing, or other sensitive information or accounts online. And I have a different one. One is for me, for my YouTube channel and other accounts online. Nobody can access my YouTube channel or other accounts that I can set up with these. So, um, would what do you think about these? Do you think I should get actually more than one for each account, or do you think they are 100%? They're not too expensive? Do you think there are some that are better quality than others, or they just just get one that does the job basically?
There's a few good brands, and I would look the ones that you're considering up and just do a compare and contrast of the ones that you are considering. The YubiKey is probably one of the oldest and most experienced out there, so um, that's one I would highly recommend among some others. I've got a short list of those on my newsletter, but YubiKey is a good recommendation if you are looking. They've got like a few different models, a few different form factors, um, including the one that I think that you just held up, which is like a USB form. Um, and then some smaller ones as well. But it's a good
Mm,
investment because if you've got multiple devices, for example, and you want to make sure that you're protecting your information, um, it adds a layer of validation and additional security and encryption for your login information. So when you're logging in, you're providing a username, an email address, your password, and a code that is generated, a time sensitive code that expires after a certain time. So if someone gets a hold of your credentials and your information, and they're trying to log into your account, even though they have your username or email address and password, if they don't have that hardware key, they still can't access your information. Um, so this is that additional layer of protection and security that a hardware key like a YubiKey or any of the other hardware keys out there provide. And so it's definitely a good investment.
okay. So you definitely don't think this is only for business owners. Everyone should actually have one of these, at least one or two, right?
For sure. For sure. If you've got more than one
Mm,
device, you may want to invest in a secondary one for that other device so that you have that separation. Um, and it's certainly not specific to personal users or business users. I
okay.
think in the case of a lot of businesses, certainly larger corporations, that's part of their arsenal in terms of login credentials. But for work purposes or personal, it's definitely a good investment.
Okay. What about when you're in public and you're using, say, a public Wi-Fi, like maybe in a coffee shop, McDonald's, or airports? What are the major risks there? What kind of activities should you and should you not be doing when you're on a public Wi-Fi?
Well, public Wi-Fi is an issue because usually public wireless networks are unsecure and unencrypted. Uh, so really, in theory, you want to avoid or limit your use of public Wi-Fi. And this could be like a public Wi-Fi network in a restaurant or a coffee shop or in a hotel or in an airport. um, or any area that allows that provides free Wi-Fi as part of their service. You want to be mindful of those, and you want to avoid those, or at least at the bare minimum limit the things that you're accessing when you're on that the wireless network. Um, and the reason is because of that unsecure nature and that unencrypted nature of that wireless public network. Um, Anyone could be connected on those, and they could be monitoring your activities, which is problematic, obviously. Um, Also, there could be instances where there are spoofed or cloned instances of that public wireless network out there.
Mhm.
So say for example, you're at your little coffee shop, and you have the information so that you can connect up to the internet through that Wi-Fi connection. There could be another cloned instance of that same Wi-Fi network in the area with the same name or a very similar name. So say you're trying to connect and you see these two instances, it's hard for you to verify which one is the valid and official connection in some cases. So you want to be mindful of that, because the potential of connecting to an an alternate malicious connection is there, and that's one of the reasons you want to avoid public Wi-Fi for sure, because of the security risks involved, or limit your exposure to your personal, highly sensitive accounts. So if you must use it, don't log it, don't log into things like your banking or financial information, or personal records, like medical records or things like that. Keep those things to a minimum because of that exposure. Because again, anyone who's on that same network can monitor and grab your information, either by uh, some remote monitoring situation, or because they've got some tool or some device which is reaching out and grabbing bits of your data during the session in transit. One term that's often used as is a man in the middle attack,
Oh, okay. Hmm.
which means that there's an intermediary that is grabbing information in transit.
Mm,
So when you're connecting to your account, there's someone in between you and the destination that you're trying to connect to. And they're grabbing information as the session is communicating back and forth.
got
And
you.
if there's an intermediary there, then they're pulling all the same information that you are inputting and or receiving, because they are the link in the chain. Uh, so that's kind of another reason why you want to be careful when you are using a wireless public network.
So, would you say that maybe one way to prevent anyone from kind of spying on your Wi-Fi activity, like the traffic going back and forth, is maybe just to use your cell phone data? Maybe just disable your Wi-Fi and then maybe use just your cell phone data. Would that be one way? Or if so, are there any other ways?
Um, That's at least one way to avoid it. If you've got
Mm,
your own personal connection through your cell provider, because you've got like a mobile hotspot enabled through your cell service, that's at least um, something that is specific to you, something that you know for sure is your own, and not like some random cloned router that's in the area. Um, it's yours, and you know that at least you're going through some channels that are specific to you, that you can confirm because you are aware, because it's connected to your cell service. You can also use something like a mobile hotspot. I know there are devices out there that allow you to carry a mobile hotspot that's pocket size. You can carry it in your bag, or in your coat pocket, in your laptop case. Um, a mobile hotspot is beneficial because it also provides you with a personal security connection that is separate from that public Wi-Fi instance. So those are two good alternatives.
well, yeah. Some of that would be a little bit more, yeah, I guess technical or advanced for some people. Getting the Wi-Fi hotspot. So you have two choices. You can go the advanced route of getting that extra equipment, or you can just go the more basic route. For some folks, they'll just use their cell phone data. I guess. Okay. And
That,
I'm
or
told that.
in addition to that, you could also
Mhm.
use like, like a VPN connection, which is a another alternate way, at least an alternate like portal that you could connect up through
That'd be a
using a VPN.
software. That'd be a software option, I guess, right?
Right. Right. You could use like a VPN software that you could load on your phone, for example.
Mhm.
And if you are logging into like a wireless network, you log
Mhm.
in through that connection, and it's kind of like it reroutes the connection that you're accessing.
Mhm. Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
not a direct link, one to one.
Okay. And I'm told that you actually have a story about identity theft yourself.
Yeah, it was a tough thing. This happened years and years ago, and it's actually the thing that sort of inspired me to get into. It sort of inspired me to get into online and digital security. I was once a victim of identity theft myself. And previously, I didn't really have an understanding that something like this could happen. But once it happened, obviously, it opened my eyes, and it's a thing that inspired me to try to at least provide some level of information for others. Obviously, when these things happen, they want to make sure that they're able to resolve everything and balance everything they need to. But they were able to discover the culprit. They were able to recover the funds. I was able to get things settled on my end, so it was a win all around. But it was definitely alarming and, you know, uncomfortable situation.
For sure. I mean, I can imagine. I mean, how scary that must have been. The thoughts may have been running through your head about, am I actually going to get this money back, or am I going to be responsible for it?
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, because when it happens, it can take months and months to resolve it and get your money back.
yeah, I can imagine. Now, when it comes to YouTube, I want to get your opinion on this. If you're recording a YouTube video, say maybe a vlog, you're walking outside and you're talking, on a selfie stick to your camera. Uh, I say don't record anywhere near your home. I mean, in your neighborhood, you know, don't let your driver's license plate be in the camera on the video. Maybe even blur it out if you're able to.
Hmm.
Um, don't get your house number, that number on your house in the video. Just maybe go to some park or somewhere away from your home, just for privacy and safety reasons. Um,
Definitely.
wh- yeah, what would you what would you advise people about that? Would you say the same thing, or maybe in a little bit more extreme?
Because location information is typically tied to landmarks, uh, license plates, building numbers, so on and so forth. You want to be mindful when you are online and sharing information, or even putting yourself on camera. Your surroundings are important because all that information is trackable and can be used against you. Um, so you want to use some blurring option, like you just mentioned. I think YouTube has some blurring options that are in there, somewhere in their settings. Uh, but you don't want to include things like, ideally, you don't want to include like, maybe your kids. In some cases, certainly you don't want to show an image or have a backdrop that includes like your license plate or your house number, or again, landmarks, certain buildings that are recognizable and searchable, online within your background and within the environment. These are all things to watch out for. If you are outside and you're, wanting to, in the case of YouTube, do like a video, want to be mindful of where you are and try to minimize the things that you are sharing in terms of information and visuals. Uh, because again, a lot of these things are searchable and trackable, and can expose you to things like data associated breaches, doxing,
Hmm.
all kinds of things that could be bad at the end.
Now, I want to ask something more for business owners. They will more appreciate this. So, if they're starting off in their business and they only have their home address, maybe their business is an online business. Um, I believe there's a service I use this actually called iPostal, where you can actually get a fake address for your business instead of using for your home. Or you can, there's other services out there. What are your opinions on these? Do you think it's better to use a not a f- it's a real address, but it's not your address, but it's meant for this purpose, if you know what I mean?
If you are running a business or you're an owner, you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, you always want to separate your personal information from your business information. So, like you just said, you want to make sure that you have an address that is an alternative and that is not public facing.
Mm,
So, yes, a service like iPostal and some of the other mail services providers out there give you a level of separation and some division. I think some call it if you have a business and you are official and you have, like, for example, an LLC or a C corp or an S corp, uh,
mm.
I think they call it the corporate veil.
Okay.
Um, and by that I mean that it's a separation between your personally identifiable information and the things that are related to your business.
Mhm.
Um, you want to keep those separate for obvious professional reasons, but also for privacy reasons.
One question I want to ask you is that I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but sometimes you're surfing on the web. You, for whatever reason, you're on a certain web page, and a message pops up on your screen saying your computer's infected uh, with a certain virus, whatever. Click on this link or call this number, and we can help remove the virus from your computer. So what ends up happening is that you click on the link, you go to the website, and then someone actually connects with your computer some way. I mean, by clicking on the link, you've now given them access to your computer, and then they try to say, "Hey, if you must give us your credit card number. You must type this type of instruction in." And so some people end up losing $300, $400, even 1,000 or more for fake computer, scares. And a lot and these kind of things are happening in certain countries. Well, actually, they're based in a certain country, and they're calling over to North America. I'm not going to mention the name of the countries that these things are based in.
Well, I think it sounds like you're talking about these pop-ups that can come up on your screen. Usually, if you've got your browser configured, um, it can block these kinds of things that are from popping up within your
Mm,
browser,
mm,
because usually they are part of like some sort of a phishing or scam attempt. Whatever your service provider is, you have an
they're not.
account set up. And so
Yeah.
they're not really actually going to be reaching out to you and asking you for account information. It's already in their systems and on their servers. So that's usually a red flag right off the bat, you know.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but you can take steps within your browser settings to suppress pop-ups from showing up on your screen, which will
Yeah.
minimize your exposure to these kinds of malicious links. But if you do see something that's a little bit suspicious like that, and they're asking you for tons of details, certainly for large amounts of money, and it's something where it's high urgency and they're trying to push you into this high pressure situation where you have to
Hmm.
do it or you're going to be exposed. Um,
Right.
it's definitely something that you want to ignore and close out of, um, and even report, especially if you have like a legitimate account. And this mirrors that because most likely there is something um, that's triggering that. So if
Yeah.
you are exposed to that, you want to make sure that you've got your pop-up blockers configured in your browser. You also want to make sure that you've got some sort of antivirus protection on your device. You also want to make sure that if you see some instance like that, that you close out of that session and run like a virus scan, because there could be something that's locally installed on your computer that's actually, again, triggering that.
Exactly.
Uh,
Chaz, I want to thank you very much for being with us today and teaching us about security, online security for both business owners and for just regular folks who don't have a business, where can people reach out to you online? Do you have a school community, YouTube channel? What is it called?
If you search MegaBlox Guild, Guild Guild, um, then there should be like some searchable items that come up. So MegaBlox, MEGABLOX Guild Guild.